Hi everyone, Armoured Pants here, and I have another video for you in the French line. This is the Premium Tier 9 AMX 30 Premier prototype. We're going to have a look, as always, at the tech spec, and we will use blitzhanger.com for that. www.blitzhanger.com, all one word, which is a great asset for all blitzers, and you should use it. Now before we do that though, let's have a look at the price of this tank. It's 10,000 gold, which is approximately €30. So for a tier 9 premium, I mean, this is a lot of money, of course, for a lot of people, but compared to some of the tanks that Wargaming have been releasing, this is relatively decent value. And has a credit coefficient of 141%, which is the best in its class, but it's not great compared to, let's say, the best in tier 1, which is 190%. But it's the best in its tier. Now, canned Pate, I would use that because you max the view range and the reload, and with canned Pate you then get 302 meters of view range. A view range for a medium tank, given its role in the game, is extremely important, as we all know. It has a 100mm gun, which is very effective. It gives 232mm of pen if you use gun rammer, 244 if you use calibrated shells. You get 263mm of pen with Pramo, which is APCR, using gun rammer, 276 if you use calibrated shells, and 50mm of pen with HE with gun rammer, 55 if you use calibrated shells. I run gun rammer because I like to fire more often when I'm playing a medium tank, but of course it depends on your game style. Damage points are 310, 260 and 350 with AP, APCR and HE respectively. Muzzle velocity is 1000 meters per second, but if you use Supercharge you get it up to 1300 meters per second. And an APCR, the shells are faster, it's 1625 meters per second if you use if you maximize muzzle velocity, which you should do, of course. Now it has 6.65 second reload if you use gun rammer, 7.15 second if you use calibrated shells, so therefore it has a good rate of fire. As I said, I use a gun rammer. 10 degrees of gun depression, 16 degrees of elevation, which means it has decent gun alignment. Gun alignment, of course, is the ease with which you can align your gun with the enemy, with the target, and this has decent gun alignment. 60 kilometers per hour forward, 23 in reverse, so it's fast. Its top speed is fast, but more importantly, as we know here on channel, it has a great power to weight ratio, and power to weight ratio is more important than top speed because it determines how quickly the tank accelerates. And this thing therefore is a flying machine. Good top speed, but it gets to that top speed very quickly. Concealment numbers are good, so a tank with 303 view range, which is very good at tier 9, needs to get within 246 meters of you to spot you up, or worst case scenario when you're moving and firing, 288 meters. So the concealment is good. It's not the best, but it is decent and will allow you to get out and spot, especially if you maximize view range, as you should do by using canned Pate and improved optics. Now if we look at the tank here, we see a couple of interesting things about it, right? We see the gun depression in action here, right? We also see that it has a large gun mantlet, and it has armor on the turret, and the turret is not very big. So what does that mean? Well, it means that this tank is going to bounce shots when the turret's facing the enemy. We know it has 10 degrees gun depression, so therefore combining those, we know this tank will be a good hull down tank. We also know it has a good gun system. Therefore, it's going to be a good sniper, particularly if you maximize muzzle velocity by using Supercharge, as recommended. What else do we notice? It has spaced armor on the side. This is very important when you're playing tier 9 and tier 10, because you have the big HE monsters up there, and HE and HESH won't do max rolls on the spaced armor. Now it also has good dispersion, that is maximum deviation from the target, and in this, if you use a refined gun, it's only 0.293, but we don't recommend that when you use a medium tank, and even without that, if you're running vertical stabilizer, it's still only 0.326. What does that mean? Well, it means at 100 meters, the maximum deviation, that is the maximum distance you may miss the target, is 32.6 centimeters. So it's not that much. Now you can reduce that by, of course, using a refined gun, but as it's a medium tank and you're going to fire a lot when moving, we recommend that you use a vertical stabilizer instead. But even with the vertical stabilizer, the dispersion is quite good. Combine that with the muzzle velocity, and a good rate of fire. This tank has a good gun system that won't let you down and will do damage and enable you to have a good influence on the game. And it does exactly what a medium tank should do. It's fast, nimble, gets out there, has good view range, and it has some armor. It has some armor on the turret, and it has some armor on the front, and you're going to see that in action in the game as we look at the gameplay as it unfolds. Now we're on Himmelsdorf. It's a supremacy game. Supremacy game, one of the basic tenets of that is that you get out and capture bases early. So I'm going to go to B first, use the speed of the tank, get to B, capture that, and then I'm going to try to go to A and see if I can capture 2 bases and clear off the left flank by the rail tracks. That is sort of my goal and my ambition as a medium tank. That should be my role, is to capture bases and clear a flank if possible, especially as I'm top tier in this tank. Not really sure what the T-54 lightweight is trying to do here. I move off here. I catch a Freddie Mercury round right up the jackser there as I'm moving off. Bit of a noob move. I should have known that I was going to get that round right there. But I was in a hurry to get out and to try to capture A, as I saw the enemy weren't there, so I wanted to get out and see if I can capture that. Now we're capturing this, and then I'm going to have A and B captured, and we're going to have a clear flank down the rail track. So all in all, for the sake of that one round up the ass, pretty good opening move and pretty good opening strategy in this game. Now I'm going to see if I can flank, which again is a medium tank, a medium tank's role, one of the tactics it should use. And we have our first customer, T-54 E1. Now I'm going to do an instant replay on this brawl here with him, for a couple of reasons. Firstly, you see here the armor in action. We get a nice bounce here, right? But secondly, the T-54E1 here makes a terrible mistake in coming into this brawl. If you have seen any of the reviews on channel of guns with autoloaders, you will see that we have, and particularly T-54E1 and T-57 range, we have a mini tutorial on autoloaders. And one of the things that we say is that you should not go into a brawl if you only have 1 shell in the magazine, because then you're going to have to wait almost 20 seconds to reload. And if you're up against a fast firing tank like this AMX, and I can drop the adrenaline, then you are going to get cleared off without being able to even return a shot. So basic lesson here, leave aside the AMX gameplay here, right? Good gameplay from the AMX. You saw the gun system in action, you saw that rate of fire, especially when you drop adrenaline. This thing can put a lot of DPM in. You can see here though, when you're front onto something like an E75 with a lot of armor, you do need to use APCR if you want to pen them front on. Therefore I would recommend that you load up some APCR rounds. And look, you know, a lot of people say, oh, you know, you're a noob, you have to fire gold, even though hasn't been gold for about 20 updates. But that's what it's there for. And if you're in a lower tier tank or a medium or light tank and you're front on to a big heavy, right, you're going to sometimes have to use APCR. That's what it's there for. If it wasn't needed, it wouldn't be in the game. So, you know, don't mind people like that. You know, usually, by the way, the people who say that are the people that you've just killed. And you know, my attitude to that is, firstly, just ignore them. It's sour grapes. But secondly, you know, they should be happy that you're willing to spend money to kill them, right? It's kind of a compliment in a way. So the AMX here now is a very small target, right? And again, I'm going to show a shot here showing just the accuracy of the gun system in this tank. The French tanks, in my opinion, along with the Japanese, are the closest to the German tanks in terms of gun accuracy and the accuracy of the gun systems. And you can see that there, you know. I mean, tiny target. He's also moving, but with this gun system, it's reliable. It just pop and you get a round straight into him. Low roll there. If RNG had been different, I might even have cleared him off, but nonetheless, get the damage and allow my ally to clear him off. Again, you see the speed and agility of this tank. Again, commenting on the gun system here, look at the shots here on the low, on the Luva. This tank's gun system is great. It's very reliable, it's very effective. It's only 100mm caliber, but it is effective. Now, let's have a look at this replay here, because the Tortoise has a big gun, and that hits off the front of the tank, as you saw there, not off the turret. During the game, I thought it hit the turret, right? But you saw there, it actually hits the front armor on the tank. Fluffed that shot, but I decided to get the flock, get a dodge. No point going front onto a Tortoise. So I'm going to go around, see if I can get around behind him, use my agility. As we said when we spoke about the power to weight ratio, people often look at just the top speed of a tank, and then they say, oh yeah, it's maneuverable if it has a high top speed. If it doesn't, it's not maneuverable. That is only half the story, and in most cases it's not even the most important part of the story. What's most important when looking at a tank's maneuverability is its power to weight ratio. That will determine whether or not the tank is actually agile, because it determines how quickly it gets up to that top speed. If it takes you a long time to get up to that top speed, for example, like the Supercharge Premium Tier 8, then the tank is not that agile, right? And so the power to weight ratio is very important, and the power to weight ratio is great in this tank. Plus you have that 60 kilometers an hour top speed, which makes this tank agile and nimble, and it's very maneuverable, as you saw there. It's a slightly big target for a medium, but nonetheless, with that bit of armor on the turret and that bit of armor on the front, you can get bounces, and it is agile, nimble, and of course it has that ability to go hull down. So overall, I think that game was a good demonstration of this tank's strengths. You saw its speed, its maneuverability, you saw how quickly it can get around the map, you saw its firing system in action, you saw when you dropped adrenaline just how much damage you can put in, you saw its gun handling on the shot on the AMX, and you saw then its accuracy on the shot on the AMX and the accuracy on the shot on the E75. I think that you do need to use APCR. Maybe some people would say I'm a noob for that, but when you're front onto some tanks, particularly if you're in lower tier and a gun that's only 100mm, especially if you're up tiered against tier 10, you do need APCR. That's what it's there for. So let's have a quick recap on this very good premium tank. It's a good premium tank, as I said, decent value at €30, and 141% credit coefficient is not bad. Best in its tier, although not as good as some in lower tiers. Good TPM, good rate of fire, nice alpha as we saw in that game, over 4k damage. It's agile and mobile, this thing ships. It's a pleasure to move around the map. It's a pleasure to play with. The 100mm gun system is very effective. You get good pen, good rate of fire, as we discussed, and as you saw in action there against T-54E1. 1300 meters per second muzzle velocity is not bad at all, and with Supercharge it goes up to 1631 if you use APCR. 10 degrees of gun depression and 16 degrees of elevation means it has good gun alignment, and of course you can go hull down given the turret. It has decent dispersion, that is the maximum deviation, and it has good gun handling to boot, as you saw evidenced in that game. I would use Supercharge, Vertical Stabilizer and Gun Rammer, but if you have a different play style, you prefer to shoot less and get the extra pen, then maybe use calibrated shells instead. Great power to weight ratio, as we said. And the music, because this is a French masterpiece, I believe, is Saint-Saens, another French masterpiece from him, from Camille Saint-Saens, Danse, Macabre. And the background music, when we look at the tech spec, is the Horde from the original soundtrack of Warcraft. So cheers, Mush. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. And I guess all that remains for me to say is wash your hands, stay safe, and pants off.